Hello everyone, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're tuning in from. My name is Damian Borba. I work on the strategic development team at Adobe, and today we're going to talk about a very nice topic, something that I run personally called XDIs, XD instructors. And to run the show, I'd like to invite my friend Jay Ganadin. Jay, are you there? It's all yours.
Sorry, unmuting. Hi, I'm Jay Ganadin, Director of Strategic Development, joining you live here from Emeryville, California, town between Berkeley and Oakland. Happy to have you join us this week. And just a quick aside, it'd be great to hear where all of you are coming from in the chat. Each Friday we meet to discuss topics on XD, tips and tricks. And we'd love to hear your thoughts and questions in the chat. Let us know how XD is going for you and what you'd like to discuss with us next. If you're unfamiliar with XD, it's an all-in-one platform to design, prototype, and share engaging experiences, whether it's screens, pitch decks, or Amazon Alexa devices. Yes, voice is a thing. And if you want to learn more, XD or learn more about XD, let us know in the chat. We have a ton of free virtual events happening right now in our world, and you can find some of those on letsxd.com/events. And I want to take a second here and share with you my screen. All right. So the topic we're covering today is the XDI program, right? So this is something that we've piloted in our Europe team, and Damien has graciously taken up the challenge of leading it here in the Americas. And today we have joining us are 4 of the XDIs, and I would like to introduce them to you. To learn more about them, you can find them on this page here that I'm sharing with you. And I will kind of scroll through this a little bit. And so here you can look at all of our training options. There's around 15 different training options from beginner, intermediate to advanced, covering all those topics I just told you about, whether voice or it's prototyping or just the basics. So have a look. You can sign up here and indicate what kind of training you like. And now I'm going to introduce you to a few of the instructors. So first up, I've got Elise Todd. Elise, are you there? Do you want to say hello?
Hi, I'm Elise. I'm an XDI, and I also teach at General Assembly, and I mentor at Springboard. And I'm a product designer. I work on social impact projects. I'm really excited to show you my favorite features in XD today.
Excellent.
All right. Sorry.
Go on. So we're going to introduce a few more. We've got Julia Masalska. Julia, do you want to say a quick hello, and then we'll.
Hi everyone. Thank you, Jay. Hi everyone. My name is Julia Masalska. I'm an XDI since this year, but I've been designing for over 5 years now, and I started educating as well about 2 years ago. And I also have my own YouTube channel that you can check out. It's called the Made Channel.
Excellent. And then next up, we've got Matt Ray, who's joining us from Canada.
Hey Jay.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, so I'm also an XDI up here in Canada, where it's still a little cold, and I'm also a design advocate here at Adobe XD. Happy to be here.
Awesome. And then finally, we've got Connor Delaney joining us from Brooklyn, New York.
Thanks, Jay. How's it going, everybody? I'm Connor Delaney. I'm an experienced designer based out of Brooklyn, New York. I work with creative agencies, startups, and technology companies. And obviously now I'm a XDI with Adobe.
Fantastic. All right, so I'm going to now cycle back to Elise, where she's going to share with us a few of her favorite features in XD. Elise, over to you.
Right. Can you see my big post? Like it's an episode of The Bachelor. So I also create Instagram posts as well as YouTube videos. And something that I do is I use XD for all of my social media posts. And a feature that came out a few months back was the ability to edit in Photoshop, which just changed the game for me because obviously I'm working as a designer, but I want to also create all this content and I need to do it really quickly. So this was a game changer for me. So it's super easy to edit in Photoshop. All you need to do is right click and click edit in Photoshop. Pretty simple. So if I wanted to like get rid of these leaves, I don't like that. I want to make like a little short stem rose, something like this. Just got to save that. And automatically that it's made those changes in my file. So again, super, super great to just easily edit your photos and everything in Photoshop. The other thing that I want to share with you, I've been a real big fan of Repeat Grid for a long time, and I want to show an aspect of it that's super cool. If you don't know what Repeat Grid is, you can take a group of elements like this and you can just repeat it on your page over and over again to infinity. You can do it horizontally as well as vertically. It just makes it super easy. Anytime you want to make a change to one card, you can make it and it's going to reflect on the other aspects or the other groups as well in here. Now, unfortunately, sometimes when you want to make color changes, it can be difficult previously. Like if I wanted to make just a color change on this star in this group, if I wanted to make that gray, well, it's going to affect all of them. So instead, you want to make sure that it's a component. And if it's a component, you can make those overrides and it's not going to affect every other group inside the Repeat Grid. It's only going to affect this group. So just makes it super easy again to start using Repeat Grid, and it has just such vast amount of ability to make your process that much quicker. All right, the other thing that I love is resize. Now, responsive resize for me has gotten smarter and smarter and smarter. So I don't know if you've used it lately, but I've been like, whoa, it's been really helpful for my process. So if I wanted to just change this module and make it a little bit, I wanted to make it like a little bit smaller like this, it just automatically resizes my whole graph. So simple. And if I want to take this guy and move it up here, make it a little bit smaller, take this one and expand it, boom, it's like done. You can just make some little small edits if you want to, etc. But it makes it again so easy to go from desktop to tablet to mobile as well. The other amazing new feature is the padding. This has been super helpful for me because often we're working with buttons, calls to actions all the time. And you don't want to have to make a new button every single time. You need to just make it a little bit longer perhaps, right? So we have this new feature with padding where you can just turn padding on here on the right hand side next to responsive resize. And if I want to change the text here, I'm going to be like, button is a really long button. You can see that the background is expanding with the content inside. So making it super simple. And so you can do this also with your components. When you make it a component, it'll reflect on all of the instances of your component as well, this feature. So also if you want to kind of combine the Repeat Grid as well as padding, you can take a group like this and use Repeat Grid, and the background is going to expand alongside with it. So again, it's just a couple of my favorite features that really have streamlined my workflow. Yeah, that's my favorite stuff.
That is great. Fantastic tips there. Thank you so much. I actually, so a couple things. I said we repeat this every Friday. And I've got clearly some PTSD from working at home. And we're clearly in Thursday. So we are repeating. This happens on Thursdays at noon. Tune into us Thursdays and not Fridays. One other thing I wanted to share is something that's pretty exciting. And that is a chance to win a year of Creative Cloud All Apps. And so if you answer a few questions that I'm about to flash on screen, hang on, here we go. So you'll find a link in the chat pods here That's Adobe Lee / Enterprise Live questions, something like that. Anyway, you'll get the link. And if you answered these questions, once a month we'll be choosing one lucky winner to get Creative Cloud all apps for an entire year. So with that, please tell us how to make this XD Enterprise Live a better show for you. So with that, I'm going to hand this off to Julie Masalska, who's going to show you her favorite tips and tricks and features in XD. Julie, over to you.
Thank you, Jay. Hopefully you guys can see the screen well. Okay, so let's get this going. Let me move you guys a little bit away from this. So, as I said, I have a YouTube channel. So recently I started kind of rebranding it. And since I got a couple more followers, I wanted to, make a nice branding. And so I started making some visualizations in XD. And I'll show you some of my favorite features today. I'll show you how to animate, and I'll also show you how to work with components and component states. So let's take a look at what I have already here. I have this kind of website looking page. So let's take a look at this. We already see that we have some things that are stuck to the top and some things aren't. As you can see, the blog right now is kind of moving away. The rest is already stuck. So let's make this a blog also fixed. So we fixed the position of the blog. Let's see how this goes. All right, this goes perfect. All right, so let's take a look, and I want to create a little hover effect over my little links here. So whenever I hover over these links, I would like the color to change to a lighter gray, so the user kind of gets this feedback of, I'm hovering over it and this is a clickable link. So let's go into this, and I'm going to take this little text object and I'm going to make it a component. For that, I'm going to click on the little plus on the right side, make component. So now my default state is defined, and what I want to create is a hover state. So I created a hover state, and now I want to define the hover state here, the visualization of the hover state by changing the color, for example. So I'm going to change it to a light gray. All right, now I have created these two states for this little link, and I'm going into prototype to kind of, explain XD what I want to do with those states. So I'm going to just simply click this little object here, this little arrow, and on the right side you will see I will already have these settings for my states. So here I have my default state, and the trigger is hover. There's also tap, but I want it to be hover, and I'll let it auto animate to the hover state, which is our lighter gray color. And the duration of this, I want to be way shorter than this. I want it to be visible immediately. So let's take a look how this looks now. Now I hover over blog, and it becomes light gray. And this can help you create, very complex visualizations without using many artboards. That's why I like using it. It's very, very easy to apply. Now let's do the same thing for the others. I have to go back to my design, and I'm creating a component, and I'm creating another state, which is the hover state, and I'm filling that one with a lighter gray. And again, I'm going to prototype. I'm clicking this little component here, clicking the arrow, defining my states. The trigger is hover. I use auto animate to hover to the hover state. And again, it's going to be 0.1 seconds. Now let's take a look at this in the preview mode. Now I hover over videos or over blog, and it becomes a lighter gray color, which is great. Now let's take a look at something that's called auto animate, which is one of my favorite features in XD, because I think usually animation programs can be look very complex and very intimidating, where you have timelines and so on. So here, this is very easy to make an animation in XD. All we have to do is, so I have my couple elements here that I have already kind of applied to an artboard size of an iPhone X, because I want to use this for my social media, for example. So now what I have to do is I simply have to copy paste my artboard, and I'm going to make my changes here inside the artboard. See. I'm going to lock this for now so it doesn't disturb me. I want to access this little logo here and I want to make it bigger. So in the process of this animation, my logo will get bigger. And what I want to do is also I want to move the leaves away to the side so my text reveals. I'm going to unlock this. There we go. And the leaves are moving to the side and the little text reveals. Also what I want to do is, actually let me unlock this here. Let the leaf a little bit further away, and I want my little arrow here go towards my text, so it kind of looks like a clickable link. So let's take a look at the animation. What we have to do is first we have to prototype. So I'm going to select the first artboard, so our first situation, and I'm going to connect it to the next artboard where we are going to animate to. The trigger will be time, and the time will be, let's say, 0.4 seconds. We click, the action will be auto animate. There is also other transitions that you can make, overlays and so on. And you can even work with audio. So let's say I'm going to add some easing in and out, and the duration of this animation will be 1 second. Now let's take a look how this looks. Now we have our little animation going on here already.
Nice.
And you can also click record, and you will have a little video that will save to your computer that you can use for your social media. And as you can see, I already have this little link coming up. And yeah, so I really love this feature, and it makes it really easy in my everyday life to kind of create these little interactions. And of course, you can make way more complex things. You can use that inside your website design or application design, or even presentations like Elysium does them. So yeah, thank you so much, guys. Hopefully this will help you.
Really nice work, Julia. Really appreciate it. When you were working through Auto Animate, did you find it pretty easy to learn? Taking it on?
Yeah, totally. I think XD is so intuitive. I have to say I only took a couple of days to really learn all these things. Of course, it can go way more into depth using components and states and so on. But I think Auto Animate is a very, very easy to learn feature, even if you're a design beginner. And you can also just try and experiment with it. Download XD for free, and just check it out.
Awesome. Thanks so much. All right, Julia, I'm going to now move on to Connor Delaney. He's going to share with us a few of his favorite features in XD.
Mm-hmm.
Great. How's it going, everybody? My name's Connor Delaney, and one of my favorite features right now in XD has been share mode. So especially during these times when a lot of teams are working remotely, it's really important to share your work often and early in the process to receive feedback early on so they can work more collaboratively. And share mode in XD makes this process really simple. So I'm going to show you how that works today. So jumping into this file that I'm showing right now, this is a case study I've been working on over the last few weeks. I'm calling it Couch Tour. This is just a fun project, but the platform idea is that it would be a platform for people to find live streams of their favorite music artists and be able to watch them with friends. So I've started designing out some different screens for this and how to all interact. I have some throwaway stuff on the bottom here. So these are some of the different pages I've designed out. And just jumping into the prototype, you can see I've also incorporated some interactions throughout these pages. I've created some interactions between the navigation on the left. So when I go to play my prototype, you can see I can scroll through this. So let's say I want to share this for development. I think it's about time that it's ready to share with the developer. The first thing I want to do is actually define what flow I want. So I've got some throwaway screens at the bottom here that I don't necessarily want to share. So to do that, I'm going to scroll up here. You're going to see when I click the artboard, there's this little home tab. So you click that and turn that on. That's defining what you're actually going to share in share mode. So now I'm going to jump into share mode and show you what that means. So now that I'm in share mode, you see that everything's grayed out except for all the interactive screens that I've designated to that home screen I just signaled. So now these are the only screens that are going to be shared. So now jumping over to the right here, you see while I'm in share mode, the properties panel changes a bit. Share mode allows you to create links that can then be shared over email, over Microsoft Teams. Anyone can view these links. So typically when you would click the share mode, you would see the option to create a link here. I've actually already created a link, so it's giving the option to update that link. And to open it up, you usually just have to click here, but I'm going to just jump into what that might look like. So this is the browser view of that prototype I just shared. So you're able to interact with that prototype, you're able to jump between the pages. Everything's functioning as I had it in that prototype at XD. So if I wanted to share this with a developer, you could go through and check out all those pages and see how feasible everything is. And then they can actually make comments on the right here. So you can make comments, global comments like, looks nice, and submit that. And it's going to add that comment to the page. You can even specify and drop pins to specific places on the document. So I just tap this little pin icon and I can drop a comment on the navigation, let's say, and change background color. So I could share this with my team, and anybody could come in here, whether they have an Adobe account or not, and start making comments to this prototype here and interacting with it. So if the developer wanted to start looking into the specs, all you have to do is click over here on the right, this HTML symbol. So when you click that HTML symbol, this jumps into the developer, the specs view mode. So on the right here, some things change. Now you have all the assets available for download. All you have to do is select some, and you can download these assets as SVGs, PNGs. All the colors used on the file are shown, and as you roll over, it highlights them. Different character styles are shown, and as I roll over, it highlights them. And even all the interactions are on the bottom here that are shown. If I start to collect objects on this browser view, it's going to show actually, the different attributes of that object. So I'm clicking this headline right now, and it's going to give the character styles, the spacing, so all very helpful attributes for when you're sharing for development. So, this has been a really valuable tool for me when I've been, working remotely and working with a lot of different teams to be able to share my work often. So, it's been one of my favorite tools. And if you guys are looking for some new music, check out this band here, Kagaku Moya. I'm probably butchering that name, but it's a pretty cool Japanese psychedelic band. So, thank you, Jay.
Awesome. Connor, so when you were on the HTML link there, I saw some code. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you're clicking into some of these attributes, it actually shows you some of the CSS for what those attributes that you're selecting. So all you have to do for a developer to actually start using this code is if they select and highlight this, it's actually just going to copy it for them. So they can select, copy some of that CSS and start using that in their development location. So super helpful in the process.
Cool. All right. Well, questions. And just a reminder, if you guys want to interact with us, we have some people on the team minding the chats on LinkedIn and on Facebook. So feel free to enter in some questions. Thank you, Connor. We're going to close it out now with Matt Ray, and over to you.
Thanks, Jay.
You bet.
Here we go. So we've talked a little bit about designing, a bit about prototyping and share. One of the other big pieces of XD is plugins, and plugins really allow us to extend the power of XD into whole other areas. And when we're talking about enterprise applications, this can be really powerful for a number of reasons. One of my favorites is tapping into real data. So I've previously designed for autonomous vehicle startups, and getting into some of the technical terminology behind the UI is really critical to the design process. And so plugging in real live data is important. So I'm going to start here with a plugin we call the Data Populator. And so you can see here I have some of these variables plugged into my interface. These are essentially aligned to a key in a JSON file. So there's different ways you can do it. There's some presets. You can plug in a URL. You have an API URL to a JSON file. You can plug it right in and then just upload a straight JSON file. Today I have one preset with some boarding pass information for my travel app. So you can see as I scroll through, I have all the different keys and data in my JSON. So this is what the plugin's going to look for in my UI. So if I come back here and select my my pieces that I want to populate. Go to my preset. It's going to load up that JSON, and then I just hit populate, and that's going to plug in all my airport information based on the JSON file. It even plugs in dates. So that's really awesome. And you can reload that data whenever you get new information. So if it is plugged into a URL, you can just go in here. Select a layer though. Go in here and just hit reload, and it'll reload live data. You can also randomize it so that you just have fresh data coming through every time you reload. So that's really awesome. One of the other ones I like is stock imagery. And sometimes if you have your own assets, you might be using CC libraries to bring those in from a marketing team or a brand team, some shared library. But in the cases where you don't have that, we have the stock image plugin. So right here, I have a repeat grid full of album covers or songs. And I don't have to go in and select each individual album cover and find artwork. I can just select the repeat grid. And you notice when I select the repeat grid, it selects 4 images from the stock image plugin. Now I just have a search done for concert. So why not? Let's plug them in. I just hit apply, and now I have all my images dropped into the design. And this plugin is tied directly to Adobe Stock. So I can actually log in, and when I'm ready and signed off on a design, I can license the imagery right from here, and it'll be applied to my design. It's pretty slick. Just for kicks, let's do one more. Let's call this one Rain. I don't know why. Just like that, I can select any object and fill it with an image. And if we go back, as Connor was mentioning, sharing is an important piece, whether you're handing off to development, sharing with stakeholders for review. And one of the integrations I've used quite a bit is an integration with JIRA. So many engineering teams are using JIRA for ticketing and tracking their work. And I've used it in the past from a design perspective as really the handoff tool between teams and tracking a lot of the design work. So to do that, let's flip over to Google Chrome. And adding the Adobe XD for JIRA app is really simple. Your JIRA UI might look different, but you essentially go into your apps, manage your apps, and you can find new apps really easily. So you just go here, search for XD, and I already have it installed. But you just click here and add it in, and it's great. So what you'd see on a ticket is, for instance, you'd have your description, any of your custom fields would show up, but then Adobe XD also shows up as an available field. And so if I flip back to XD and go to share mode, I already have a share link generated. So I'm just going to click here and copy that. And then I can just paste it in here and attach it to my ticket. And what's going to happen is anytime that link is updated, it's going to update it in JIRA as well. And as a developer, an engineer, project manager, I can go in here. I can get a quick preview of my artboards. I designed it at a very low resolution. But then I can also click here and open up my design specs, which, as Connor just showed us, is pretty powerful and gives a lot of information about the design. So then I can click through here, see all my specs, and that's all done right from JIRA. So those are some of my favorites right now from the plugin perspective, and I'll flip it back to you, Jay.
Thanks, Matt. Really good stuff there. I feel like there's a lot of good features there for developers to get started, as well as people that are prototyping with real data. Awesome work. With that, just a few things that we're seeing. Thank you all for taking part in the chat. If you do have any questions, feel free. The survey so far has shown one person completing it. Thank you. That also means that the odds are really good for that person. So how about some other people fill out some surveys and enter to win a year worth of Creative Cloud, all apps. With that, I'm going to hand it back to Damien in case there's other things to close out here. Thanks, everyone.
Awesome. Thanks, Jay. No, this is awesome. Thank you very much, everyone. Looking forward to seeing your request for XDI training. So just make sure you fill out that form, and then we can assign a very awesome XDI to train your team on anything. Like you heard, we have 15 training options, but we can always tailor that to exactly what you need. And then also make sure you fill out that survey to help us improve the live stream and get a chance to win 1 year of Creative Cloud All Apps. That's all we have. So thank you very much for watching. We're back next week at noon Pacific time on LinkedIn and Facebook. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone.